Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest today is Mayor Curlee of Tullahoma, and as most of you are aware, Lane has been heavily involved in city activities and membership in the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and the mayor, and he just finished his most recent term as mayor, and in the August election was re-elected for another 3-year term. So we thought our primary interest today would be what he's got in mind for the future. But at the same time, we might start by giving him, well, first of all, welcome, Lane, and thanks for taking the time to join us. But maybe we ought to start by giving you a chance to say, you know, what you've already done in the last few years that are particularly proud of, and start with that.
Sure. Well, thank you once again for allowing me this opportunity to visit with you. But I guess what I'm consistently most proud of about Tullahoma are the number of people that get involved in their city government. And we try to make it easy for people to get involved and to be a part of the decision making, or at least input. And so each year I try to introduce a couple of new initiatives to try to get the community to focus on different things that I think will make a difference, you know, as we move forward. And so we've got the Go Green initiative, Go Green Tullahoma, and we now have 1,000 more families recycling than we did a year ago, thanks to a lot of people's work at that area. We've got the Get Fit Tullahoma. We've got so many things, fitness trails and fitness fairs at the mall. We just finished one last Saturday and had hundreds of people by there.
You must be taking part in all that, given your physique. You're tall and lean.
Well, I do try to set a good example at whatever I do. But when I came up with that initiative a couple of years ago, I weighed 242 pounds.
Wow.
And although I am tall, that's still a lot of weight to carry around. So I've been working pretty hard for the past year or two to try to slim down a little bit. But I do want to set an example. And the Get Fit Tullahoma have done so many good things in the community, and we've got so many more things planned. And then, of course, we had the Tullahoma Arts Council was formed. We want to make Tullahoma more of an arts destination. My point is, all of those initiatives require Tullahoma citizens to get involved and participate. I mean, it's their community as much as it is mine.
Well, you make a big issue, interestingly, about the fact that you're not the mayor of the city government, you're the mayor of all of Tullahoma.
Right.
So all these folks you're getting involved are not really members of the government. They're
absolutely. In fact, we very seldom. Now, I do have a couple of support people that work in city government that help with all of this, sure. But these are not city government initiatives. The city government is just part of the fabric of the community, just part of the fabric. Now, I have certain legal and fiscal responsibilities as the mayor, as it relates to city government, but I want to be a community mayor. I don't want to be a city government mayor. I have been mayor of Tullahoma. There are really two misconceptions about mayor, at least. Number one, it's a full-time position. It is not a full-time position. It's very much a part-time position. And second, Tom, that I'm somehow a manager of city government, and I'm not a manager of city government. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen has one employee, and that is the city administrator, Jody Baltz, who does an excellent job, I think, managing the affairs of city government. Yeah. The police, the fire, the public works, parks and rec, finance, those all report to him.
You got a lot of full-time people that are making the city government
absolutely, which allows, so I've got decisions to make as to how I use my time. You know, I can get involved in, you know, what streets are going to get paved, or whether or not little Johnny's teacher is being good to him or not being good to him, or I can help establish a vision for where we want Tullahoma to be. And I've always selected that I think it's my responsibility to set a vision for our community and then inspire people to help reach that vision. And my vision is that I want Tullahoma to be a world-class community. It's not that complicated. I want us to be a world-class community.
Well, you've just introduced the balance of the show. We want to talk about your vision and what all that entails. So let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll be right back.
The highest standard of trust offers a sense of safety and comfort. It's established over time. You know when you see it. You know when you feel it. There's a standard of trust in healthcare. It's the Joint Commission Gold Seal of Approval. In 2003, Life Care Center of Tullahoma voluntarily achieved this accreditation and maintains it still today. Life Care, meeting a higher standard because residents matter most.
Let the Smokehouse be your mountain getaway destination in beautiful Monteagle, Tennessee. Enjoy our cabins, restaurant, and old general store. Shop thesmokehouse.com featuring homemade barbecue sauces, jellies, and many other fine Tennessee products. Our live Music on the Mountain series features some of the best local and Nashville talent every Friday and Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. No cover, kids welcome.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Mayor Lane Curlee. And as he mentioned just before the break, he has a good vision of what he wants Tullahoma to look like. And so that's primarily what we want to talk about. What is his vision and how is he going to get there? So you got a lot to chew on. The papers you have put out the last 2 or 3 months have a very large, varied description of Tullahoma. You want it to be a growing, diversified, vibrant local economy with stronger retail, aviation, and medical. And those are especially the aviation medical, were the 2 areas of the economic development, aside from retail, that we're concentrating on. And I think a key feature is that you wanted Tullahoma to be attractive to young people, to young families, a place that they want to come, and a place that's a good place to work and raise their kids and things like that. So, and to do all that, we got to have great schools and lots of jobs and shopping and entertainment and things like that. And as you mentioned, a lot of that, your Arts Council and especially that last session, and I gather that's going probably well, is it?
It is. Yeah. The Arts Council is involved in a number of things in the community. Yeah. It took a little while to get some traction, but it was a new effort, and they're going to be involved in the Highland Rim Kiwanis Club 41A Music and Arts Festival this year, and they've got other things. We're going to have another concert in the park that they're involved with in a couple of weeks. So, yeah. Yeah, good. I mean, we want to make Tullahoma an arts, and the reason, we want Tullahoma to be an arts destination. We want Tullahoma because these young families, they like to live in green communities. They like to live in communities where there are arts opportunities. They like to live in communities that have an emphasis on fitness. So all that is really strategic efforts to design a community that's attractive to young families. It's fun to go to Nashville. It's fun to go to Chattanooga or Huntsville. We will never be that size, at least certainly not in my lifetime, and I hope we don't, actually. It's fun to visit those places, but when it comes to raising a family, there's really no better place to raise a family than Tullahoma. And we've just got to design the community so that we are attractive to these young families.
Well, and a major piece of that, which you have recognized and described quite well, I think, is that, the world is becoming more high-tech, and that another major attraction for these young people is good, high-paying jobs. And so that's an area that you would describe it, for example, they need to be high-paying, talent-attracting, talent-retaining in jobs in technology, design, engineering, and social media. So I guess maybe one question I'd like to kind of focus on is how are we going to get all that done in the jobs arena?
That's not an easy. I don't have a solution to that from the standpoint of snapping my fingers and making it happen. There are many, many communities that whether they realize it or not, they want those same kind of things. We will never reach our potential as a community until more people have jobs and better paying jobs. But there's a lot of communities that want that. And, but I mean, my neighborhood, we have rocket scientists that live in my neighborhood. We've got people that design, create websites and are entrepreneurs. So we have the infrastructure here. I mean, that's one reason why our school system continues to be a top 5 school system in the state, is because it's something in our water maybe, I don't know, but we've got people here that care about their children by and large, and they want the best for their children, and they motivate their children, and they encourage their children to reach their potential. And so we just need to leverage that a little bit better. You know, we reach out to industries to encourage them, to their suppliers to locate. I mean, we've got a number of strategies that we try to do to grow our community from a job standpoint, but it's not easy.
Talk a little about those, and who's carrying these strategies out?
Well, in that particular one that I mentioned, the TADC is the one that reaches out. Like you mentioned retail a while ago. You know, retail is not the solution.
Pretty well concentrated on retail.
Right. They concentrate on retail, technology, aviation, and medical. Those are their 4 emphasis areas. And so I have conversations with Tom Robinson, the director of that group, on a weekly basis, if not more than that. And but we've just got to do those kinds of things. A lot of times it's just a matter of communicating that we have fiber to the premise to every home and business. You know, that's attractive to communities, to companies. We've got a 100-acre business air park that we're almost finished with, that we've already got one company there, and we're working on others to go there that are very avionics oriented. Those are really good paying jobs. So a lot of the infrastructure, we've got a top 5 school system. The kinds of things that are of interest to companies, we already have in place. Our challenge now is communicating that to prospective companies to let them know that Tullahoma exists. You know, if I had sufficient resources, not me personally, but it would be great to send somebody to California and visit with some of those high-tech companies and let them know what's available in Tullahoma. You know, I wouldn't want to live in an earthquake zone, you know, and which we don't, of course, and let these companies know that we exist and what we have to offer. We've got many good things to offer.
Well, I guess you know, one thing that's kind of puzzled me a little bit when we first set in motion the TADC, and it was a committee for a year or 2 before we actually did the formal organization. And I thought, as a part of that there were going to be, I don't know what you call them, you could call them committees, but that's not a very attractive term. Councils, we'll call them, which would be local people with expertise in those areas, medical, aviation, and whatnot. The citizens who would actually be formed to go work on those areas, and I don't see that. Yeah,
it's challenging to get citizens that have that expertise to take the time, frankly, to do that. And if they might have an expertise in certain field of technology, but that does not mean that they have the expertise to reach out to companies and do all the things that have to be done to entice a company to consider Tullahoma. It's one thing, see, there's 2 different types of expertise there, right? There's one expertise, or maybe it's medical or technology or whatever it is. The other expertise is to know how to talk to those people and to provide them the information that they want to make decisions. That's one reason why in the retail sector, we've hired a consultant. And she is an absolute professional. I mean, she's been doing this for 20 years, some odd, and she knows the players. You know, I can't pick up the phone and get XYZ retailer on the phone, the president, and talk to him or her. This person can. And so that's why we have retained her to help us, and that's why we're one reason, not the only reason, but that's one reason why we're going to Tullahoma. if everything works the way it's supposed to, Tom, over the next year, Tullahoma will be transformed from a retail standpoint, just like we were in the early 70s when the mall was first developed. I have that much confidence there's going to be that many changes and developments in our retail side.
Your most recent TIF project.
Absolutely,
is
absolutely.
Part of that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you just introduced a subject that I think would be a good place for us to pick up on after we take another short commercial break, folks. And we'll be right back.
The Russell Barnett Automotive family has come up with a new challenge. Purchase a car from one of our 5 locations: Russell Barnett Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chevrolet, GMC, and Ford of Winchester, or Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, and we will donate $100 to the ALS Foundation or Parkinson's Foundation. The Parkinson's Foundation is a pie in the face. The ALS Foundation is a Ice Bucket Challenge. Yes, that's to you. $100. Come on down to Russell Barnett Automotive family.
Grill 'em at Gillum's, Tullahoma.
A salute to the never wasters, the coupon clippers, switch flippers, one last drop of milk drippers, the thoughtfully thrifty, and the just plain cheap. Charter respects your economic IQ and honors it with a phone service worthy of your ever-watchful wallet. Charter Phone, just $19.99 a month, for real monthly savings for fabulously frugal folks like you. Switch to Charter Phone and get unlimited local and long distance and 13 calling features with no extra fees like the phone company charges you.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're talking today, folks, with Mayor Lane Curlee, and he's just starting a new term as mayor. And we were trying to figure out what it is he has in mind for Tullahoma and how he's going to get there. So let's pick up with that. When we left, you mentioned the fact that in the retail side, which we've put a lot of emphasis in the last couple of years, and that's fine, that you hired an expert house to come in and do, in effect, a strategic plan for you. And also that person has the ability to reach out to people. So how about one of those on the high-tech, high-paying kinds of jobs? And one thing that comes to mind is what's the outfit that we had in here that big a major plan for us 10 years ago?
Right.
And if I think they would be ideal to do that sort of thing, and especially if we could get the young lady who headed that earlier effort, who already knows us.
Right.
But I was wondering if you've given that any thought to bring somebody in to do a strategic plan for that side of the world.
Yes, we have talked about it, and we have reached out to some people that do have that expertise, maybe not on a national level, but on a regional level. And I actually got, to be honest with you, a couple of dead ends there, but I actually had not thought about that group that did that work 10 years ago. That would be a good, something good to pursue. But a lot of times it does take someone that can talk the talk. And just like our retail person can get someone on the phone and let them know what's going on here from a retail standpoint, it is important to find someone that can talk the talk. Now, Tom Robinson, the chair of our Economic Development Corporation here, he has some experience, certainly.
Yeah.
That's why he's there, in the technology, but not so much in the medical, but certainly can pick it up. Very bright person.
Well, he knows how that process works.
Sure.
To try to attract a new business.
Right.
But you're right. He's going to need help.
Sure. But the idea of calling on citizens to do a lot of that work is just not, idealistically it would, but realistically it just can't. It doesn't work that way so much. Now they can provide contact.
You've called on the local citizens to work the retail development side.
Well,
very much. You got leaders there.
Absolutely, and they've stepped up and doing a great job.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, they have a vested interest in that.
Exactly.
And so a financial vested interest, and so they've got a lot of motivation to fill up their spaces.
Right. So, well, okay. I guess that still leaves the question. Tom Robinson can only cover so much, right. And he has devoted an awful lot of time to retail. So, I guess that still leaves open the question of where do we go from here. Well, what have you? Your Jobs Council, for example, talk to us.
Right.
Yeah. About that.
Yeah.
Are they organized?
No, they're not organized. Actually, I was waiting until the election to make sure that I was even going to be around
right.
to organize a Jobs Council, but that worked out well. And so I'm in the process now. We've actually got 3 initiatives that I want to introduce over the next year. One is a sports council. We've got tremendous
right.
facilities here in Tullahoma, right. sports facilities here in town. And we can do a better job at marketing those facilities and filling up those facilities, whether they be indoor or outdoor or whatever they are, activities, because that gives local folks something to do, plus it brings people in from out of town.
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to work on the sports council. The other one, actually there's 2 more. Another one is and this is maybe a smaller thing, but I think it's the Friends of the Tullahoma Animal Shelter. Now, yes. Tom, there are people that are not comfortable citizens of Tullahoma that are not comfortable participating in some of what we've talked about so far. You know, maybe they don't have contacts at the industrial level, or maybe they don't, whatever, but they've got a dog, you know, or they care about animals. So I want to give them an opportunity to participate in their community as well. And then the third one is this Jobs Council. As I said earlier, Tullahoma will not reach our potential until more people have jobs and well-paying jobs. So they will work in conjunction with the TAEDC. But one piece of that I'm particularly interested in is the relationship between the business community and educators, okay? I want to make sure that educators are doing the things they need to be doing to prepare young people for jobs 5 years from now, as best we can.
Yeah.
And so
that's really very critical. I think it's already been well identified that we've got a lot of jobs out there now. A lot of companies are trying to hire and they can't find qualified people.
Right.
So I know when you were talking about the council, you wanted to say, you know, what kind of jobs are going to be out there in 5 years or 10 years, and are we training people in that direction?
Absolutely. And here's another example.
That's a critical piece.
It is. We're going to have each year approximately 250 graduates at the high school. Most of those will go on to a technical school or to a 2-year school or a 4-year school. But sometimes they don't make it all the way through. And then we've got a group of people that do not go to college or technical school. They go immediately into the workforce. But Bill Comer, who is chairman of the Coffee County Industrial Development Board, I've heard him on numerous occasions say that in his estimation, and it's just an estimation on his part, that within the next 3 to 5 years, there will be 1,000 new jobs created in Coffee and Franklin counties just from either current company expansions or relocations of companies to here, just based on what we know right now. 1,000 jobs. Well, perhaps most of those jobs are going to require some kind of STEM emphasis, science, technology, engineering, or math emphasis. And many of them are going to require, if not some college, a college degree. Yes. So Governor Haslam introduced this Tennessee Achieves program. And one of the pieces of that, and a very important piece of that is, well, there's two pretty important pieces. One is community college will be available at no charge under certain, or technical school under certain circumstances. But then the other piece of it, and what involves you and me, is we have many high school graduates that are low income, or they are they would represent first-time college attendees.
They need help.
And they need help.
We're running out of time.
They don't have the support at home. So we need mentors.
That's your mentoring program, yeah. Another very important piece. And that needs to get going right away, doesn't it?
It is. We're having a meeting Tuesday night.
They have to sign up by 1st of November.
That's correct, right.
Just a month away.
And we need 60 mentors, but only 23 have signed up. I think you have an interest in being a mentor.
Yes, I do.
I've signed up.
Yeah. And we can get John.
John?
Well, folks, guess what? As we always do, we've run out of time. And as you can see, we're going to have, the mayor has got a lot on his plate over the next 3 years of his term, and he's going to need a lot of help from a lot of the rest of us. So, you got a short blurb, about a minute's worth. You want to speak out there?
I'm very pleased to be mayor. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be mayor of this community. We have so many exciting things going on in this community. My biggest role, as I mentioned a minute ago, is to have a vision for our community and then inspire people to help reach that vision and to be enthusiastic about everything that we do. And I do try to do that to the very best of my ability.
Yeah, well, sure. Well, okay, I want to thank you, Lane, for taking time to come and share your views with us, and we ought to do this occasionally and see how things are going and where you still need help. So, with that, folks, we also want to thank you for joining us today and for allowing us to come into your parlor, and we will see you next time.